Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the CEO at the Chinese Museum. I'm Mark Wong. And for those who would like this in Chinese, unfortunately, I can't speak Chinese because I'm a third generation Chinese Australian. My great grandfather came here during the gold rush, and whilst my parents are both Chinese and my grandparents are both Chinese, my grandfather and my mother was born here actually, and my grandfather came in 1854, and he was up in the northern Victoria, living up that way, and he then lived there for up to about 1900 when he passed away. So, sorry, this is feeding back a lot, so I'll just try to keep it a bit further away, and you're not so far from me. But during that time in 1854, the Chinese obviously brought their customs with them, and one of those was the dragon. And as Chinese people would know, the dragon is very important to Chinese culture. The first dragons are seen in 3000 BC in the Hongshan period, where you get the pig dragons. They are the first elements that you saw of dragons in Chinese culture, and they're found in graves, and it's particularly. You can actually see them on the Han Dynasty floor, on the third floor. There are pig dragons, jade pig dragons there, and you'll see them exhibited there. And they're from 3,000 years ago, 3,000 BC, so it's 5,000 years of dragons that have been the history of dragons. Now, the other thing, where did dragons come from? Well, they're mythical beasts. They're not actually real beasts, but when you think of what the aspects of dragons is that they are really, really big creatures, and I would have imagined that maybe, this is my own theory, that maybe 3,000 years ago they found dinosaur bones, because dinosaur bones are very prevalent in China. And people, in Chinese medicine, there are things called dragon teeth, which are used for calcium in Chinese medicine, and they're called dragon teeth, but they're actually from dinosaur bones. So this idea of dragons coming from dinosaurs is something that maybe I've dreamt up, but it must have come from somewhere. And dragons are meant to control, or they do control the universe, and so it's very important in Chinese culture, because we Chinese were mainly an agricultural society for 2,000 or 3,000 years prior to recent. It was important that the weather of the climate was stable, and so during springtime they evolved a custom where the dragons lived in the water and went to the sky, because they were the control of the heavens. And at that time they took the water with them, and during the spring, if you saw the dragon go to the sky, they would be bringing the spring rain, and the spring rain would fall on the crops, and you'd be having a good year harvest if you saw a dragon go to the sky. My father was from a lowly farming family, and he told me once that when he was a little kid, they used to sit by the riverbank and make mud dragons at Chinese New Year time as a custom to try to get the dragons out. So those customs are very, very personal, but they also are very major in the way that Chinese people look at dragons. The dragons are control of the universe. They control the way the coming of the next emperor. You'll see dragons everywhere, dragons emblems everywhere, such as on clothing of dragons, the five-clawed dragon, right through to very small things. And so the whole concept of the dragon is very important. Even in Melbourne, we have a lane called Celestial Avenue, which happens to be down the road on the right-hand side. Chinese people were called Celestials because they were regarded as the sons of heaven. So because the emperor was the son of heaven, and that was controlled by dragons. So this dragon mythology is very ingrained in Chinese culture. Now in Melbourne, when we came to Australia in the 1850s during the gold rush, they brought the dragon culture with them. And as I was mentioning to the lady over here from Bendigo, that the picture over there on the back wall, which you can see later, is a picture of two dragons parading down Swanston Street in 1901. And that 1901 picture is when Australia became a federation, the first parliament was in 1901 at the exhibition buildings. And to celebrate the Duke of York coming to open the first parliament, the Chinese community from Bendigo, the dragon on the left, and the sea-up dragon on the right, which is housed in South Melbourne, those two dragons paraded down Swanston Street in 1901. We even built a Chinese citizen arch over Swanston Street to recognise the contribution of Chinese Australians. So that was one of the things that we paraded then. Since that time, the Sea Up Society has paraded the Chinese dragon each year, and in the 1950s, it was quite run down, and so the next group of people who organised the dragons was the Young Chinese League, and that dragon over in the corner is the Young Chinese League head. And when Moomba came around in the 1950s, the Young Chinese League then started to parade this dragon in Moomba, and it's been paraded right up to 1979. That dragon was paraded in Moomba, and then Dai Lung, which is the dragon over there, took over in 1979. Interesting story about this dragon is that this dragon was actually made in Foshan or Fatshan in China from the Foshan Arts Institute, which was a government organisation then. In 1979 was the end of the Cultural Revolution, and I myself went there to get this made because the community asked, well, this dragon is wearing out, so we'll go and get another dragon. When I went to the Foshan Arts Institute, the reason I went there is because I knew they made these lanterns, and I thought if they can make lanterns, they could make a dragon. So I went to the Foshan Arts Institute, and they said, we've forgotten how to make dragons. We don't have anybody here who can make a dragon. And we don't know anybody because we haven't made dragons here for decades. And so we found someone in Foshan who said, my uncle can remember making dragons when he was young. So we got him back to the institute, and we then they went about designing the dragon with me, because I looked at that dragon and designed that dragon with them, and that dragon came out. Okay. And then so that dragon we imported in 1979, and then sorry, the battery's running out here. Not to worry. That dragon came out in 1979, and we started the Chinese New Year Festival in 1980, which was the first street closure was in 1980. We brought that dragon out, and this dragon out to parade in that parade. And then they only last about 25 years, because out on the street they sort of get battered about, and they're not made to last forever. So that lasted about it's run out. I'm sorry. Yeah, and that one lasted about up till 2000, and so that was 21 years. And so from then on, we then got the Millennium Dragon, and we brought that out in 2000. And I went back to the same factory. I said to the people at the factory that, you know, when you made the first the Dai Lung dragon, it was too heavy. 2 people had to carry that dragon, whereas the first dragon only 1 person carried it. And so I said to them, the next dragon you make, I want you to have it for 1 person, not for 2 people. Then when I went there, they had a cloth over it. And I said, oh no, this is horrible. That's got horns on it and antlers on it. So it's actually, and when you lift it up, it's higher than the ceiling. And then I said this is not one person dragon. And so when we brought it back here, we assembled it all, and then it takes 8 people to carry it. So now we carry that with 8 people. So in the parade, there's about 100 and we carry all these animals. I'll tell you about the animals too. They all go out with the dragon, and the lions. We usually have 8 lions go out with the dragon, and the lions represent the earth, the sea. We've got sea creatures. We've got earth. We've got animals of the sky, and we've got mythological animals like the phoenix and we carry out the sun and the moon and our banners. So when you see the whole parade, there's about 120 people in the parade. And you're almost welcome to join, by the way. So you can join and carry something. And it's quite a sight because we come out at Chinese New Year. The next Chinese New Year is in January, and we'll be there. We'll be there then, and we usually start at about 10 o'clock, and we're out on the street at about 11 o'clock. And you're all most welcome to join. Now, what else is there to tell you about dragons? Is there any questions that you have about dragons at the moment? I don't know how long I've been speaking for, actually. So, let's see. So. Do you have any more questions to ask me about dragons? No?
Is one's tail no longer on display?
No, the whole body is put away, and there's as you might know, if you've seen under the dragon, they're all bamboo. They're all rattan frames, which are round hoops, and there's one hoop, another hoop, another hoop. That's usually 1 metre, and there's one pole in between. They take up so much space you can't sort of keep them all out. We only have this space for the dragon, but we're hoping to have a new museum in 4 years' time, which is double the size, and the dragon will be hopefully displayed bigger then. But we only actually have half the dragon out. If you've been downstairs, it starts here and goes around and ends about at the doorway underneath. The dragon was originally double the size, but we just can't fit it in. And it's also twice as many people required, so we don't bring it out full size because it's just more work to do. So we're a bit lazy, we take it out as it is. So in Bendigo it would be double the size because it's about 100 metres in Bendigo, I think. This is about 50 metres. So this is substantial. It's enough for us to take out as is, so that's how it is. Any more things to talk about? Now, if you go upstairs, you can go and see the Han Dynasty exhibition, and you'll see where the jade suit is. You'll see all these jade objects, and you'll see some pig dragons in there. And all through the dragon, you'll see things like we have garments. I don't think they're on display, but there's a garment on the back wall there with a 5-clawed dragon on it for an Empress dragon robe. And so there are many things that dragons represent in Chinese culture. Is there any more questions you'd like to ask? No?
So the Millennium Dragon just comes out?
Yeah, Moomba and Chinese New Year. Yeah. So, yes.
You mentioned before the dragons have a life around 25 years.
Yeah.
Does this mean the Millennium Dragon soon to be retired?
Yes, we would like. We are thinking of getting a new dragon soon. So, but our problem is that with the rising costs of things, when you compare the cost of that dragon costs 3 times more than that dragon, and I reckon the next dragon will cost 3 times more than that dragon. I don't know whether we'll be able to afford it, actually. That's the other problem. So, that dragon was made all of at the time that was made out of cardboard and silk and all natural materials. This dragon was made more in the times of China now, or China in 2000. That were made, a lot of that synthetic, like rayon and fabric. The other reason why we didn't want it to be made out of cardboard, all the scales, and it had mirrors on it. It was all sewn like those. They looked like that, but they were made of cardboard. It rained one year, and all the scales fell off the dragon. In this dragon, we had to replace all the scales one year because when it rained on it, the cardboard just fell off. And it was all vegetable dye, and so the dragon had red dye running down the gutters, and it looked like so ominous. So we immediately had to get a new body that had synthetic materials on it, so it was weatherproof. That was the big lesson we learnt from making dragons. So.
Would that new museum or is it this site?
It's this site. They're going to go double, 2.5 times the size. We're hoping that'll be in about 4 years' time. So we've got a lot to display. We've got about 10,000 artefacts in our storeroom that we can't fit enough in, and we're growing quite substantially in terms of activity, what we do. So that's our main task. We also educate approaching 30,000 school children annually, and they come in here weekly. During the school week, we have about 1,000 school kids a week. So it's quite massive. So, you know, it's very important to us at our role in Australian society to be who we are, representing Chinese Australians. And, you know, we thank the support of both Australian and Chinese people in doing that. So.